with another episode of ShayS Relationship Files. And today, the topic we're going to be talking about is commitment in marriage and some tips on how you can work on staying committed. So, to start the topic off, before I start, I want to say good morning. I want to say I hope everybody's morning is going well. Excuse my throat if I clear it a little bit today. It's allergies. I'm not got a cold or anything. It's just allergies going on right now. But yeah. So to start off, let's look at what commitment means in a marriage. So commitment, the word commitment means to stay loyal, to stick with something. And that's just a short definition of it. But when it comes to marriage, I mean, it may, in the beginning, it may look easy and say, oh, I'm going to be committed, I'm forever, this, that, and the third when you starting out. But over the years, it can be different conflicts that cause rough patches within the marriage. So it's not always just ups. It may start off like that, and then over time you have your bad days and your good days. Now, does that mean you need to give up on your marriage? No. There are things you can do to work on or keep your marriage strong. And one thing is to have a spiritual aspect between you and your mate. That's one first important. Having that threefold cord is one of the things that help when it comes to a marriage. And also, the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to commitment, and that is something I never thought about before. We need to look at commitment with our spouses as a solution, not the problem. Because a lot of times when we having conflict with our mate, sometimes we could say, "Oh, I wish maybe we should just break away. Maybe we shouldn't be together. This, that, and the third." And it's not the commitment that's in question. That's not the actual issue that may be causing the problem. The main thing is to focus on and figure out what's the source, the actual reason for the issues you may be having, and to talk about them and figure out what ways to improve or what things you both can do together to improve things. And that goal commitment is where you're trying to reach to keep that going. That's not the center of the problem. And I've came to realize too that it's important when you are going through those conflicts, you also want to be careful with what you say to each other. Because sometimes in the heat of the moment, we all do it. We can sometimes say something that we don't mean. But I've learned a lot over the years how words can hurt just as bad as physically harming someone. And we really want to be careful. And I call it, as I explain it, season with salt. So when you season salt on your food, you don't over pour so much to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, all I taste is salt. You want to taste the food. Good morning. So season with salt and my expressions mean you want to be careful with how you speak to your mate. And sometimes over the years, oh great, I'm so happy. You're the first viewer. I'm so glad to see you here. Yeah, so that's something you should be careful with, because sometimes over time you can just kind of not forget about respecting your mate, but it just sometimes you just get so frustrated. You may just say something that you don't mean, but it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or he's a bad person. Just sometimes we're both imperfect people that at times when you're arguing or whatever, what have you, you just sometimes may slip and say something. But it's about kind of more thinking before you say, and try your best to, even if you need to, sometimes just stop talking about the subject for a minute. There's nothing wrong with taking a breather from the situation, just so each person can calm down, because it's never, no solution is going to come with both people being angry and upset and arguing with each other. That's not going to. Hi, good morning, Ethan, Kenzo. Thank you guys for coming in. So we are. Hey, Blue Dragon. Good morning. So we are, just to remind everyone that's coming in, we are talking about what commitment means to you in a marriage. So I am looking for you guys' opinion. Definitely on this subject, even though I'm sharing different aspects. Definitely let me know what you guys thinking about that this morning. So yeah, so back to what I was saying. Well, I'm actually a faceless YouTuber, so I choose to not show my face. I rather just show my work ethic. So nothing, just I choose to have a faceless YouTuber. So yeah, so that's why my screen is black. But yeah, so back to what I was saying when it comes to commitment. So we're going to discuss the tips here that I have, that I read in this article, that's the key for strong commitment. So just give me a second here while I pull that up. So first thing they mention, they break it down in three parts. So the first part of commitment is personal commitment, which basically means I want to attitude. So you want to do all you can in your marriage to actually make it work. So that's one part of the aspect you should have. And a moral commitment means being committed because you believe it is the right thing to do. And this may even include staying in a marriage because of certain set values or beliefs, or even just staying there because you are the type of person that see marriage as permanent. And my reason for talking about this today was because, as we can see when we look around, there are so many, even including famous people, who have been married for sometimes no less than a year, and they're already ending the marriage. But I always thought about too, we don't necessarily know what the foundations of those marriages were set on. And that's also important as well, prior to marriage, which is going to be a topic I talk about in another video. You want to make sure of the things that you're. Hi, Andrea. I hope I'm saying your name right. How you doing? Yeah, you want to make sure that what you want in a marriage mate that you see prior to getting married, because you may not, because you can never, I learned this from someone older, that you can never really know a person completely, but you can know them enough where okay, this is my husband, or this is my wife, this is someone I'm going to marry. but you have to ask the right questions. If you see things during dating that you feel would be something that wouldn't be good as a marriage mate, then you do need to pay attention to those things. Because I see a lot of times also where people would see these red flags, as you call them, with someone, but they kind of just shrug it off because they're like, because I mean, none of us come with the perfect package. We all have flaws, but some people have like the bad flaws, like harming you, or could be super controlling, or that type of stuff, the things that can possibly turn worse over time, especially once you're married. So if you see red flags that you don't feel comfortable with while dating, that would be a time to, of course, see if it's a situation where you can talk to them and let them know that. But if it's something that you feel would actually put you in harm and it's not worth committing and marrying this person, that's why it's a good thing to look at that. Because I've seen also where people see red flags and they just kind of ignore it, say, oh well, it wasn't nothing, when it's something, so you want to pay attention to that as well. And then in the article, it had mentioned think and act to strengthen your marriage. So basically, what that means, it says your behavior will reflect your marital commitment. So the way you conduct yourself and your actions within the marriage. Because another important essential, even if your husband or wife may have annoying traits, because we all have annoying traits of some form. One, you don't want to just focus only on the annoying traits. Two, you can't force change on another person, even if it's just minor annoying traits. It's the point, you can't force change. But guess what? Who can you change? You. So if you do maybe something that annoys you that your husband does or your wife, still you can talk to them about it, but also you want to work on the changes you need to make. And when you change yourself, it's like a domino effect. It starts rubbing off on the people around you and the people you love, and they start noticing, oh, this person's doing this person's doing that. She's not getting so angry at this like she used to, type thing. So eventually they notice your conduct, and that's kind of a life lesson, because even when you're out and about on an everyday basis, people don't speak to you all the time. They may just notice how you act as a person. That kind of gives them a hint of the type of person you are. So actions do definitely speak louder than words. And I know that's a saying that many of us heard growing up and for years, that actions speak louder than words. And I remember even as a kid, like I used to hear it all the time, but I didn't really grasp the concept a lot more until I became an adult and realized, like, wow, your actions, your conduct really does speak to give a person a sense of who you are even before you open your mouth. Even how you carry yourself, all those things, that's what people see first. So yeah, so your actions could determine or make the best of your marriage by just you working on yourself. And then by you working on yourself, that improves everyone around you. And also, it mentions, and I kind of mentioned this in another video too, it says plan and try to commit. So I've seen this in a lot of articles where it says it's good to set future goals and talk about this as a we, and continue to include each other in your future, and letting that person know that you plan on being with them for the rest of your life. And that's also adds on to saying we and things, because Many of times I've saw some people where they would be have a spouse, but they constantly use the word I a lot in things like I, my house, or my car type thing. And I mean, something like that, you may think, oh, that's kind of small. Like, because I mean, they should already know it's theirs too, or whatever. But you have to realize too that people do notice what you say, even your spouse. So if you're saying mine, everything mine type thing, then it makes it seem like you're more by yourself than you are as a team, as a marriage, as a couple together. So even when you're talking about day to day things, you want to say, I mean, of course, unless it's like you're at a doctor's appointment or somewhere where it's just some talking about you. But if your husband's brought up or you're talking to someone about something you and your husband or whatever, you want to acknowledge we to emphasize the fact that this is we, us together, me and my husband, not just you, or not, or vice versa, not just him. And I learned that over time that that's something important to do. And also, and this is the part I talked about in my last video about showing appreciation and notice things. You want to find the good out of a lot of things. Like, it's so easy to point out the negative when it comes to marriage or your mate, even especially if you're annoyed by something. But it's important to notice the good. Like, for example, if you guys had a difficult decision to make about something, your husband really thought through, and or your wife, and really talked and figured out what was best for the situation. That's something to commend. Like, I appreciate us working together to figure out this situation, or I appreciate that you make sure we have groceries, or I appreciate the fact that you check in even when you're working. Different things, different appreciations and comments towards a person does a lot and goes a long way, because everybody likes feeling appreciated, which I remember talking about in another video, appreciation. And the more you show that, the more each person in the relationship feels valued, and you want to make sure each other feel valued. Because, and the thing when it comes to marriage, many people too tend to look at the glamour side, like, and it's some people who have a lot of money where they more so focus. Like, I've seen these old shows where people just go all out, constant, spending thousands on their marriage ceremony and all that. But half of those people also aren't together now. And it's like you go galore on this ceremony, and then but you don't think about marriage is not just a big celebration. It's an enjoyable time for you to commit to your spouse, but it's also work. You have to work at your marriage if you want your marriage to stay strong. You want it to continue to go. It takes work. It's not just something like, oh, I'm married and that's it. Like, after you get married, there's nothing else to do. Like, it's a continued everyday effort. Just like it's an everyday effort with us, it's an everyday effort we work on as our personal selves. That's also an everyday effort when it comes to your marriage. You have to work at it every day. It's always room for adjustments. No one has the perfect marriage. No one has, like, oh, I don't have nothing I have to work on. Like, that's not true. Like, and there's no such thing as perfect, because it's both two imperfect people coming together. So because of that, it's a constant effort each day. And sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes you be super annoyed with your spouse, or you may just get irritated with something he may have not listened to you with that day, or she may have not listened to you with that day. But like I said, just try if you can to not be so fast to just call it quits. Now, I understand some scenarios where people may call it quits, but you think about some of the people, like maybe your grandparents or even your parents, who been married for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and you can guarantee they went through up and downs. They went through some rough patches throughout that 50, 40, or 30 years. But they still stuck it out together because they did the work. And commitment is definitely work. And like I always say, for the person you love, the work is worth it at the end of the tunnel, because you have a wonderful marriage, you have a wonderful best friend that loves you, and y'all love each other. So that's my thought on this topic today. Definitely comment below about the commitment of marriage, what it means to you, and how do you view some things that you feel is important in a marriage and to keep the marriage strong. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I appreciate all the support. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Please share and continue to help me build this wonderful channel. I want to continue sending out content for you guys. And again, keep staying safe out there, and peace. I'll see you guys next video.